Hello, and thank you for watching this December 27th weather update, brought to you by Agrible, the makers of Morning Farm Report. My name is Eric Snodgrass, and I am a senior atmospheric scientist and co-founder of Agrible. In last week's video, we warned of the development of a large winter storm in the central United States for last weekend, and this is what eventually happened. Here we are looking at the surface winds spiraling around a deep low pressure center in the northern central plains. Thankfully, due to the position of this low so far to the north, most of the United States benefited from southerly winds, although they were very strong at times, as you can see in these streamlines. But if you live in the Dakotas and in northern Minnesota, this was a brutal winter storm. In addition to a lot of snow, winds were sustained at 35 miles per hour and at times gusted much, much higher. For a blizzard warning, the National Weather Service requires falling or blowing snow, sustained winds over 35 miles per hour, and visibility reduced to a quarter mile or less for at least 3 hours. And that is exactly what happened in the Dakotas. 50-mile-per-hour winds blew 3 to 4 foot drifts and at times shut down numerous roads, highways, and interstates. If you're watching this video on Tuesday in the Dakotas and northern Minnesota, you may still be snowed in from this event. But before we leave this animation, do you see the winds converging along this line here? Air that was converging along this front was forced to rise, cool, and form a line of showers and at times some storms. Here's evidence of this process as seen on radar. Around 2 in the morning on the 26th, the rains came through central Illinois, and the sharp line seen here in the radar reflectivity marks the position of that front. Behind this front, the winds shifted and the temperatures began to fall, meaning that the high temperature on Monday, December 26th, was actually set just before 2 a.m. But let's get back to that snow. This map shows the snow depth in the United States through December 26th. It is very important that we keep an eye on the snow depth in the northern plains for the rest of winter. After a very slow start to winter, with November and the first half of December being so warm, the northern plains have a decent snowpack built up. If the cold air locks into place and the winter storm track keeps the snow coming, this region may have some trouble with the planting come spring due to all of the snow melting, potentially causing some flooding, and the colder soil temperatures that may result. We will keep a close watch on this over the next couple of months. But let's look at the near-term forecast first. This graphic from NOAA shows that for most of the Corn Belt, it will be a quiet week. After last weekend's large winter storm, the last week of 2016 looks quite calm. I am watching the far eastern Corn Belt for some snow late in the week on Thursday night and Friday morning as the winds circulate around a large low-pressure system that will form in the northeastern U.S. While this system will cause travel headaches for the northeast by the end of the week, higher air pressure dominates the central states for most of this week. Now here's the bigger story that we're watching for the start of the new year. A large ridge in the flow of the jet stream is forecast to push into the Gulf of Alaska by next week. This will force colder air to slide south into a trough that will settle into the western half of the country before pushing east. This also helps set up a large blocking ridge off the east coast and south of Greenland. Now this pattern does two things. One, it keeps the northern plains cold first, and then the rest of the eastern two-thirds of the country after that. And second, this pattern is well situated for producing winter storms that take a similar trajectory to the storm system we saw last weekend. Well, let me show you what I mean. By the Wednesday after New Year's Day, cold air is advancing across the central plains once again. Here we are looking at the surface air temperature anomalies on Wednesday, January 4th, and the influence of that trough in the jet stream that we just discussed. If we look out over the longer term, it appears as though this is the favored pattern through the first half of January. Here we're looking at the European model's temperature outlook, and it is once again showing cold northwestern flow. Now this does not mean that every day will be below average, but the overall flow of the jet stream signals a cold start to the new year. So before it arrives, enjoy this week before the new year starts. And as we finish this week's video, the primary growing regions in South America are forecast to receive regular rain over the next 10 days. Rio Grande do Sul actually looks quite wet, while the Tocantins and points to the east of there look pretty dry. But overall, the weather during this growing season in South America looks very favorable. Well, as always, we at Agrible will bring you the latest and best weather forecast information through our Morning Farm Report so that you can efficiently plan your operations. We thank you for your attention and hope you look forward to our next weather video update. Have a happy and safe new year.